As I sit here, surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I'm reminded of the countless times I referred to my grandmother Aurora as an open book. Her laughter was as contagious as a sunbeam on a summer morning, and her hugs had the power to heal any pain, no matter how deep. Those blue eyes of hers sparkled like the clearest summer sky, radiating warmth and comfort to everyone around her. But little did I know, that perception of hers being an open book was about to be shattered into a million pieces, revealing a depth and complexity I could hardly have imagined. My love and admiration for Aurora were boundless. She was the matriarch of our family, the keeper of stories, and the one who made everyone feel seen and loved. I remember the way she'd walk into a room, and all eyes would instinctively turn to her. It wasn't just her presence that commanded attention, it was the aura of love and wisdom that enveloped her like a warm cloak. The day she passed away, our family was plunged into a sorrow so deep it seemed to have no bottom. It was as if a part of us had been torn away, leaving a gaping hole that could never be filled. In the midst of that overwhelming grief, I found myself going through her belongings, trying to find solace in the memories and objects that had been hers. It was then that I stumbled upon an old, wooden box hidden away in her attic. The box itself looked ancient, its surface worn and weathered from years of being tucked away, forgotten. I opened it, expecting to find maybe some old letters or jewelry, but what I found was beyond anything I could have imagined. Nestled between layers of yellowed lace and what seemed like forgotten dreams was a diary. The cover was made of a worn, soft leather that seemed to sigh under my touch, its surface etched with lines that told tales of their own. The pages within were yellowed with age, each one whispering secrets to the next. As I delicately opened the diary, a shiver ran down my spine. It was as if I had disturbed something that was meant to remain hidden. The moment my eyes landed on the first entry, I felt a jolt of shock. The words danced on the page, painting pictures of a life I thought I knew but suddenly didn't. It was like discovering a door in my childhood home that I never knew existed, leading to rooms filled with mysteries and tales of epic loves and sacrifices. As I began to read, the stories that unfolded before me spoke of an extraordinary life lived against the backdrop of historical turmoil. There were tales of forbidden love, of choices made under the pressure of impossible circumstances, and of a treasure lost across generations. It was both exhilarating and terrifying to realize that the woman I thought I knew had lived through so much more than I could have ever imagined. This diary, hidden away for so long, promised to unveil the secrets of a life that defied the simplicity of her outward joy. With every turn of the page, I felt the weight of her legacy growing heavier, yet somehow, it was a burden I was eager to bear. For in those yellowed pages, I saw not just the story of my grandmother but the story of our family's unspoken histories, our silent struggles, and our enduring love. As I invite you to join me on this journey into the heart of my family's past, I warn you, the revelations that follow are not for the faint of heart. They are tales of love that was forbidden, of sacrifices made in silence, and of a legacy that has been hidden in plain sight. But it's a journey that will lead us to understand the enduring power of love and sacrifice, a testament to the complexities of the human spirit. With the diary as our guide, we'll embark on a path that wins through generations, revealing the dark secrets and the unyielding love that defined my grandmother's life. It's a story I wish I had known sooner, but I'm grateful to share it now, in the hope that it might illuminate the shadows of our own stories, reminding us that even in the most hidden of diaries, love prevails. The story of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary is more than a family chronicle, it's a reflection of our shared humanity, a testament to the trials and triumphs that shape us. So, let's step into this journey together, with an open heart and a willingness to uncover the mysteries hidden behind the fortunes of Grandma. For in her story, we might just find pieces of our own. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of rural America, lay the small town of Willow Creek. A place where time seemed to stand still, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers, and the sky stretched out in endless blue. It was a community where everyone knew each other's names, and life moved to the rhythm of the seasons. The town's simplicity and peace were a balm to the souls of its residents, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing in the world beyond its borders. Aurora, a young woman with a heart full of dreams and a mind full of wonder, lived on a modest farm on the outskirts of Willow Creek. Her home, a cozy farmhouse with a garden that burst with color in the spring, was a haven of love and laughter. The sound of her family's joy, the smell of freshly baked bread wafting from the kitchen, and the feel of the warm sun on her skin were the things that made Aurora feel most alive. She was a dreamer, with a love for reading that transported her to far-off lands and fantastical worlds. Her imagination was her constant companion, and she often found herself lost in the pages of a good book, escaping the simplicity of her surroundings. But it wasn't just her love for reading that set her apart, it was her innate curiosity about the world beyond Willow Creek. She longed to experience it all, to explore its mysteries, and to leave her mark upon it. Aurora's family was the bedrock of her world. Her parents, hardworking and kind, tilled the land and tended to their animals with love and care. Her older brother, Thomas, was a young man with a passion for flying, who spent hours poring over books on aviation and dreaming of the day he could soar through the skies. And then there was Lily, her younger sister, a gentle soul with a poet's heart, who saw the world through a lens of beauty and wonder. The family's days were dictated by the rhythms of nature. Mornings began early, with the sun just starting to peek over the horizon, and the air crisp with dew. The family would head out to the fields, where the work was hard but the sense of accomplishment was sweet. Evenings were spent gathered around the dinner table, sharing stories of the day's adventures, and nights under the starry sky, where the world seemed full of possibilities. Despite the peace and contentment that filled her life, Aurora couldn't shake off a feeling of restlessness. It was a subtle sense of discontent, a yearning for something more that she couldn't quite articulate. She felt it in the quiet moments, when the world around her seemed to slow down, and she was left alone with her thoughts. It was as if she was standing on the edge of a great precipice, looking out at a world she longed to explore, but couldn't quite reach. As she went about her daily routine, helping her family with the farm work, attending school, and spending quiet evenings at home, Aurora's inner conflict grew. She felt a sense of disconnection, as if she was living two separate lives, one in the present, surrounded by the people and places she loved, and another in her dreams, where the world was vast and full of promise. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The seasons changed, bringing with them their own unique rhythms and rituals. But for Aurora, the sense of longing only deepened. She began to write in a small notebook, pouring her thoughts and feelings onto the page, trying to make sense of the turmoil that was brewing inside her. It was a quiet rebellion, one that allowed her to express herself in a way she couldn't in the company of others. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Aurora would sit on the porch, her notebook clutched in her hand, and let the words flow. It was a way of capturing her thoughts, of trying to understand the restlessness that had taken up residence in her heart. And though she didn't know it yet, these quiet moments of reflection would become the foundation upon which her future was built, a future marked by love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. In those moments, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Aurora felt a sense of connection to something greater than herself. It was as if the universe was whispering secrets in her ear, urging her to take a step forward, into the unknown. And though she was scared, she knew she couldn't ignore the call. For in the silence, she had heard a whisper, a soft and gentle voice that seemed to say, "There's more to life than this, Aurora. More to life than Willow Creek." As the summer of 1939 waned, the tranquility of Willow Creek began to fray at the edges. News of European tensions, once a distant murmur, grew louder, seeping into the daily lives of its residents like the slow creep of dawn. The radio, a fixture in many homes, now broadcast anxious reports of Nazi Germany's aggressive expansion. My grandfather, Thomas, would often gather the family around the radio, his eyes aglow with excitement, as if the war was an adventure waiting to unfold. My parents, however, exchanged worried glances, their faces etched with concern. The war, it seemed, was not just a far-off rumble but a looming storm cloud. In our modest farmhouse, the air was thick with conversation, as my family discussed the unfolding events. My mother would knit sweaters and socks, preparing for the worst, while my father toiled in the fields, his brow furrowed in thought. Thomas, ever the optimist, talked of enlisting, of doing his part, his voice filled with a hunger for action. I listened, my heart a mixture of fear and fascination, as the world beyond our fields and forests seemed to darken. Amidst this growing unease, I found solace in my writing. My small notebook, tucked away in a hidden compartment of my dresser, became a sanctuary. I poured my thoughts and feelings onto its pages, trying to make sense of the world's descent into chaos. The scratch of my pen on paper was a comforting ritual, a way to process the emotions swirling inside me. It was on one of these evenings, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the fields, that I first saw him. Elias, a young man in a military uniform, walked into town. His presence was a sudden jolt, like the first crackle of electricity before a storm. There was something about him that seemed out of place among the familiar faces of Willow Creek. His eyes, a deep shade of blue, seemed to hold a world of experience, of secrets, and stories untold. As I watched him from afar, a sense of curiosity stirred within me. Who was this stranger, and what brought him to our quiet town? The questions swirled in my mind like the leaves that danced in the autumn breeze. It wasn't until he locked eyes with me, across the crowded street, that I felt a shiver run down my spine. There was a connection, immediate and undeniable, as if the universe had conspired to bring us together. Elias's arrival in Willow Creek was not a coincidence. He had come with a purpose, one that would intertwine his fate with mine, and with the war that loomed on the horizon. As I looked into his eyes, I sensed that he carried a burden, a secret that could change the course of our lives forever. Little did I know, our assistant would soon lay him carry his secret message into our quiet lives. Assistant as I watched Elias move through the crowd, his stride confident, yet there was an air of restlessness about him, a sense of being on edge. It was as if he were perpetually poised on the brink of a decision, one that could alter the course of his life forever. The sound of his boots on the pavement, the way his uniform seemed to fit him with a precision that spoke of a life not fully his own, all hinted at a story more complex than the simple tales of our small town. The days that followed were filled with a newfound sense of tension. News of the war grew more dire, with reports of invasions and declarations of war. Our town, once a haven of peace and predictability, began to feel like a fragile bubble about to burst. My family and I would gather around the radio, listening in stunned silence as the announcer's voice grew more urgent, more fearful. In these moments of collective anxiety, my thoughts often turned to Elias. I had seen him around town, talking to the local shopkeepers and farmers, his conversations low-voiced and intense. There was an aura of mystery surrounding him, a sense that he was not merely a soldier on leave but a man with a mission. One evening, as I walked home from the library, the sky ablaze with hues of orange and pink, I saw Elias standing by the old oak tree. He was deep in thought, his eyes fixed on some point beyond the horizon. I felt a pang of shyness, yet my feet seemed to move of their own accord, carrying me toward him. "Aurora," he said, his voice low and smooth, as he turned to face me. "I've been looking for you." I felt a flutter in my chest, unsure how to respond. "I've been here," I said finally, trying to sound casual despite the turmoil inside. He smiled, a small, enigmatic smile. "I know," he said. "I've seen you around town. You're hard to miss." I laughed, feeling a warmth spread through my cheeks. "I suppose that's one way to put it," I replied, trying to keep my voice light. As we stood there, the world around us seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of us, suspended in a sea of uncertainty. It was then that I sensed the weight of his secrets, the danger that lurked beneath his calm exterior. "Elias," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "What brings you to Willow Creek? You're not like the other boys around here." His expression turned serious, his eyes clouding over like a stormy sky. "I'm not here by chance, Aurora," he said, his voice low and intense. "I'm here on a mission. One that requires discretion, and perhaps a bit of courage." I felt a shiver run down my spine as his words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. It was then that I realized Elias's presence in our town was not just a header_start, Griffith's coincidencing assistant booty apologize for assistant the here, header_start I interruption. Here is the rest of block 3. As I stood there, the evening air thick with an unspoken challenge, I knew that my life was about to change in ways I could hardly imagine. The tranquility of Willow Creek, with its predictable rhythms and gentle pace, was on the fragile edge of being shattered. And I, with my innocent heart and romantic dreams, was about to be drawn into a world where love and war were perilously intertwined. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The war drew closer, its shadow stretching over our town like a dark wing. News of battles and losses, of heroes and sacrifices, filled the airwaves and newspapers. My family and I, like many others, tried to carry on, to maintain some semblance of normalcy in the face of the unfolding chaos. But it was no use. The war had come to our doorstep, and with it, a sense of uncertainty that could not be shaken. I saw it in my parents' worried faces, in Thomas's determined stride, and in the eyes of the young men who had once been content with simple pleasures but now wore uniforms and carried guns. And then, there was Elias. Mysterious, intense, and compelling, he moved through our town like a whispered secret. I found myself drawn to him, to the stories he hinted at but never told, to the danger that seemed to follow him like a shadow. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Elias appeared at our doorstep. His eyes gleamed with a serious light, and his voice was low and urgent. "Aurora, I need to speak with you," he said, his words tumbling out in a rush. "I've been sent to prepare the townspeople for the worst. The war is coming, and it will not spare us." I felt a chill run down my spine as his words painted a picture of uncertainty and fear. But even as I trembled, I knew that I had to be brave, for myself, for my family, and for the man standing before me. "What can I do?" I asked, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Elias's eyes locked onto mine, and I saw a glimmer of hope there, a spark of defiance in the face of despair. "Be careful, Aurora," he said. "Be careful, and stay close to those you love. The days ahead will be difficult, but with courage and love, we can face them." And with that, he turned and disappeared into the night, leaving me to ponder the weight of his words. I knew then that my life was about to change forever, that the peaceful world I had known was about to be shattered. But I also knew that I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with the love of my family, the wisdom of my grandmother, and the mysterious, compelling presence of Elias. As the days turned into weeks, the air in Willow Creek grew thick with anticipation. It was as if the very fabric of our lives was being woven with threads of uncertainty. I, Aurora, found solace in the most unexpected of places, in the eyes of Elias, and in the pages of my diary. Those secret meetings under the sun-drenched fields or within the rustic confines of the old barn became my sanctuary. Our love blossomed quietly, yet powerfully, like a flame that burns brightest in the darkness. Elias's presence was a mystery, an enigma wrapped in the shadows of his past. Yet, with each passing moment we shared, the contours of his face seemed to soften, his eyes, once guarded, now opened up to me. He spoke of his mission, of a responsibility that weighed heavily on his shoulders. I listened, entranced, as he revealed his true identity: a German scientist, a deserter. The artifact, he confided, was not just any object, it was a powerful encryption device, one that could change the course of the war. The revelation shook me to my core. How could something so small hold such significance? Elias's urgency was palpable, his fear for the artifact falling into the wrong hands a constant hum in the background of our stolen moments. I began to see the world through his eyes, a world fraught with danger, where allegiances were tested, and the line between right and wrong was constantly blurred. As Nazi agents started to appear in Willow Creek, disguised as ordinary civilians, the atmosphere in town shifted. They walked among us, their eyes scanning, searching for any sign of Elias or the artifact. The once peaceful streets now seemed to whisper warnings, the smiles of strangers turning into suspicious glances. It was as if the very ground beneath our feet had become a minefield, each step potentially triggering a disaster. Elias and I grew closer, our love becoming a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness. He needed my help, and I, in turn, found purpose in being by his side. Together, we embarked on a perilous journey, one that would lead us beneath the old church, into a secret labyrinth left by Elias's mentor, a clockmaker. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay as we navigated the ancient passages, a lantern casting flickering shadows on the walls. It was there, amidst the whispers of the past, that we discovered the artifact. A device of intricate beauty, with gears and symbols that seemed to hold a language of their own. Elias's eyes lit up with a mix of relief and trepidation as he took it in his hands. I watched, my heart pounding, as he examined it, his touch gentle, as if he feared it might shatter at any moment. In those moments, I realized I had transformed. I was no longer just a passive observer, caught in the tides of history. I had become an active participant, bound by love and a sense of duty. My diary, once a repository of my innermost thoughts, now also held a sense of resolve. I wrote of my fears, of the forbidden love that had taken root in my heart, and of the determination that had begun to forge a new path for me. The world outside was on the brink of chaos, and I, Aurora, had found my place within it. The artifact, Elias, and we were now entwined, bound by threads of fate and love. As I look back, I realize that it was not just the artifact that Elias sought, but a chance at redemption, at making amends for the past. And I, with him by my side, found the courage to face whatever lay ahead, our love a flame that burned bright against the encroaching darkness. In the silence of the night, as I poured my heart onto the pages of my diary, I knew that our journey was far from over. The stakes had never been higher, and the path ahead was fraught with danger. Yet, in the eyes of Elias, I saw a future, one where love and sacrifice would be tested in ways we could hardly imagine. And it was this thought, this beacon of hope in the darkness, that guided us forward, into the unknown. As we descended deeper into the labyrinth, the air grew thick with anticipation. Elias's eyes locked onto mine, his gaze burning with a fire that seemed to fuel our quest. The clockmaker's puzzles had been a test, a challenge to prove our worthiness to claim the artifact. With each step, the silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the soft rustle of our footsteps on the cold stone floor. The walls seemed to close in around us, the darkness pressing in like a physical force. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat a reminder of the danger that lurked in every shadow. Elias's hand brushed against mine, a fleeting touch that sent a shiver down my spine. We were in this together, bound by a thread of trust and determination. The final puzzle lay before us, a complex web of gears and levers that seemed to defy solution. Elias's eyes scanned the mechanism, his brow furrowed in concentration. I watched, mesmerized, as his fingers danced across the puzzle, coaxing it into submission. The sound of shifting gears and clicking levers filled the air, a symphony of sound that culminated in a soft creak. A section of the wall slid open, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside, the artifact lay waiting, a beautiful and intricate device that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Elias's eyes gleamed with a mix of awe and trepidation as he reached out to claim it. I felt a surge of pride and wonder, our journey culminating in this moment. But our triumph was short-lived. The sound of footsteps echoed through the labyrinth, growing louder with each passing moment. Nazi agents, their faces twisted with malice, emerged from the shadows. Elias's grip on the artifact tightened, his eyes flashing with a fierce determination. "We have to get out of here, now," he whispered, his voice low and urgent. I nodded, my heart racing with fear. We sprinted through the labyrinth, the agents closing in behind us. The air was thick with tension, the sound of gunshots and shouting growing louder. Elias pushed me ahead of him, his eyes scanning the passageway for any sign of danger. I darted to the side, avoiding a hail of bullets as Elias returned fire. His movements were swift and precise, but I could see the pain etched on his face. He was wounded, and I knew it. "Aurora, go," he shouted, his voice hoarse with effort. I hesitated, torn between my desire to stay and my need to escape. But Elias's eyes brooked no argument, his gaze burning with a fierce intensity. I turned and ran, the sound of gunfire and Elias's shouts growing fainter with each step. I could feel the artifact clutched in my hand, its weight a reminder of our journey and Elias's sacrifice. The passageway opened up into a wider tunnel, and I emerged into the cool night air. I stumbled, gasping for breath, as I looked back at the entrance to the labyrinth. Elias was nowhere to be seen. The sound of gunfire grew fainter, replaced by an oppressive silence. I knew, in that moment, that Elias was gone. A sense of despair washed over me, threatening to consume me. But I refused to give in. I clutched the artifact to my chest, feeling its weight and its power. Elias had entrusted me with this legacy, this burden. I would carry it forward, no matter the cost. Tears streamed down my face as I stumbled through the darkness, the only sound the echo of my footsteps and the quiet hum of the artifact. I felt lost and alone, the world shrinking to a single point. And yet, even in my grief, I knew that I had been changed. Elias's sacrifice had given me a newfound purpose, a determination to see our journey through to its end. The artifact, this device of wonder and power, was now mine to wield. I walked, the darkness slowly receding as the first light of dawn crept over the horizon. The world was a different place, bathed in a soft, golden light. I felt Elias's presence around me, his love and sacrifice infusing me with a sense of courage. The diary, my hidden companion throughout this journey, seemed to stir within me. Its pages, once a refuge, now beckoned me to write our story, to immortalize the love and sacrifice that Elias and I had shared. As I walked, the words began to flow, a river of emotion that poured out onto the page. Our story, a testament to the power of love in the face of adversity, would live on, a beacon of hope in a world torn apart by conflict and fear. The artifact, now a tangible connection to Elias, seemed to pulse with a newfound significance. I knew that our journey was far from over, that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But I was no longer alone. Elias's legacy lived within me, guiding me forward. The diary, now a symbol of our love and sacrifice, would be my constant companion, a reminder of the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of times. The sun rose higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the landscape. I walked, the artifact secure in my possession, my heart heavy with grief but also filled with a sense of purpose. I knew that I would carry Elias's memory with me always, that our love would endure even in the face of loss and hardship. The world, though torn apart by war and destruction, still held a beauty and a hope that I had discovered in Elias's eyes. And as I walked, the diary's pages whispering their secrets in my ear, I knew that I would continue to write our story, to share the tale of our love and sacrifice with a world that desperately needed to hear it. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the rain-soaked night air slapped me awake, a stark contrast to the darkness I'd just escaped. The cold droplets stung my face, but I barely felt them, my senses dulled by the weight of 1,000 sorrows. My legs trembled beneath me, as if the very earth itself was shaking off its foundations. I clutched the artifact to my chest, its metallic surface cold and unforgiving, a constant reminder of the price Elias had paid for me to hold it. The walk home was a blur, my feet carrying me forward on autopilot while my mind reeled with the events that had transpired. The streets were empty, save for the occasional passerby hurrying to find shelter from the downpour. Their faces were invisible, shrouded in the darkness, and I felt a kinship with them. We were all just fleeting shadows, trying to escape the deluge that threatened to consume us. As I pushed open the creaky door, a warm glow of candlelight spilled out, bathing me in its comforting radiance. My family, huddled in the living room, looked up with concern etched on their faces. My mother's eyes narrowed, taking in my disheveled appearance, but I offered only a faint smile, unable to verbalize the turmoil brewing inside. "Aurora, where have you been?" My mother's voice was laced with worry, but I shook my head, words failing me. I knew they would never understand, not truly. The weight of Elias's sacrifice, the burden of the artifact, it was a secret I would have to carry alone. The days that followed were a haze of grief and deception. I played the part of a distraught daughter, shocked by Elias's accidental death, all the while concealing the truth. My parents and siblings noticed a change in me, a withdrawal that was hard to ignore, but I couldn't bridge the chasm that had opened up between us. I was now a keeper of secrets, a guardian of a legacy that threatened to consume me. The diary, once a sanctuary for my thoughts and dreams, had become a bittersweet reminder of Elias's love and sacrifice. I poured my heart onto its pages, confessing my sorrow, my anger, and my sense of purpose. The words flowed like tears, a cathartic release that allowed me to breathe, to find some semblance of solace in the midst of devastation. As I sat in my room, candlelight casting flickering shadows on the walls, I'd examine the artifact, tracing the intricate engravings, trying to decipher its secrets. Elias's notes, scribbled in the diary's margins, offered cryptic clues, but I was determined to unravel the mystery. I began to frequent the local library, poring over books on cryptography, history, and science, driven by a newfound sense of purpose. The silence of my family, though unspoken, was a palpable force, a reminder that I was no longer the girl they thought they knew. My parents' worried glances, my siblings' curious questions, all of it served as a constant reminder that I was walking a solitary path now. Yet, with each step, I felt Elias's presence beside me, guiding me through the darkness, urging me to uncover the truth. In those moments of solitude, I started to find my footing. The artifact, once a symbol of loss, began to represent something more, a challenge, a duty, and a chance to honor Elias's memory. The diary, now a tangible connection to him, became my most treasured companion, a testament to the love we'd shared, and the mission we'd embarked upon together. The rain continued to fall, drumming a somber melody against the roof, a reminder of the night Elias died. But as I sat, surrounded by books and shadows, I felt a spark within me begin to kindle. It was a flame of resolve, of determination to see this journey through to its end, no matter the cost. For Elias, for us, and for the future, I would carry this torch, and I would not let it fade. As I sit here, reflecting on the journey of a young woman I once knew, I'm reminded of the transformative power of love, loss, and determination. Aurora, a name that would become synonymous with bravery and resilience, began her story in the quaint town of Willow Creek. But it was in the bustling city of Ashwood, where the sounds of trams and the smell of freshly baked bread filled the air, that she truly found her path. Aurora settled into a modest apartment, its walls adorned with maps and papers, a sanctuary for her research. The city's anonymity provided a veil of protection, allowing her to move freely, yet unnoticed. She took on a humble job at a local cafe, where the hiss of steam and the murmur of conversations became her constant companions. It was a far cry from the peaceful life she once knew, but necessity had become her guide. Her days blurred into nights of intense study. Libraries and archives became her second home, where she pored over dusty tomes and yellowed documents. Elias's diary, now her most treasured possession, served as a beacon, guiding her through the labyrinth of cryptography and codes. She devoured texts on history, science, and mathematics, her mind a sponge soaking up knowledge. The scratch of her pen on paper, the flicker of the library's lamps, and the musty smell of old books accompanied her on this journey. As she delved deeper into the artifact's secrets, Aurora began to grasp its true power. It was more than a device, it was a key to deciphering enemy codes, predicting strategic movements, and potentially altering the course of the war. Her determination grew with each revelation, fueled by Elias's sacrifice and her promise to him. Aurora's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. She developed an acute sense of observation, noticing details others might overlook. Discretion became her shield, and counterintelligence her sword. She learned to navigate the city's undercurrents, gathering information in crowded places, her ears tuned to whispers and footsteps. The art of being invisible became her greatest skill. One afternoon, as she sipped coffee in a park, Aurora noticed a man lingering by the fountain. His eyes scanned the crowd, his posture tense. She recognized the profile of a man on a mission, one driven by motives she couldn't quite discern. Her heart quickened, but her actions remained calm. She jotted down his description, committing every detail to memory. Later, in the safety of her apartment, she cross-referenced his features with the information she had gathered on Nazi agents. The memory of Elias's words echoed in her mind: the greatest weapons are not guns or bombs, but information and wit. Aurora felt his presence guiding her, urging her forward. She knew she walked a thin line between discovery and danger, but she couldn't turn back. The artifact, now a symbol of her and Elias's love, had to be protected. As night fell, Aurora's thoughts often drifted to Elias. She remembered the way he'd smile, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners. The pain of his loss still lingered, a raw wound, but it also fueled her resolve. In the silence of her apartment, surrounded by papers and the soft glow of a single lamp, she'd speak to him, sharing her fears and triumphs. It was a comfort, a ritual that kept her connected to the love they shared. The war raged on, casting long shadows across the city. Aurora's life was a balancing act between her secret mission and her cover. She moved with a quiet confidence, her senses heightened. Every stranger was a potential threat, every conversation a source of information. The artifact, now safely hidden, remained her ultimate goal. She was no longer the girl who'd written poetry and stories, she had become a guardian, a keeper of secrets, and a seeker of truth. In the midst of turmoil, Aurora found moments of beauty. A sunrise over the city's rooftops, a child's laughter in the park, or the smell of rain on dry earth could bring her peace. These moments reminded her of why she fought, for a future where such simple joys weren't overshadowed by the drums of war. As I reflect on Aurora's journey, I'm struck by the depth of her transformation. From a young woman shattered by loss to a resourceful, determined individual, she embodied the resilience of the human spirit. Her story, though marked by danger and sorrow, is also one of hope and defiance. In a world torn apart, Aurora stood as a beacon, her heart unbroken, her will unshaken. And it's in the quiet moments, when the world slows down, that we realize the true impact of such courage and love. The war had finally reached its crescendo, and Aurora's role in it was about to come to a close. She sat in a small, dimly lit room, surrounded by the soft hum of machines and the occasional crackle of static. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, tapping out a message in a code she had spent months mastering. The artifact, now a trusted companion, pulsed softly on the table beside her. As she worked, memories of Elias flooded her mind. She recalled the way he'd smiled at her, the way his eyes had crinkled at the corners, and the way he'd made her feel seen and understood. The pain of his loss still lingered, but it was no longer a raw wound. It had become a scar, a reminder of the sacrifices they'd made, and the love they'd shared. The room was quiet, except for the sound of Aurora's fingers on the keyboard. She was transmitting crucial intelligence to the Allied forces, information that would help turn the tide of the war. The artifact was more than just a tool, it was a key that had unlocked a new level of understanding between her and the world. As the messages flew through the airwaves, Aurora felt a sense of pride and purpose. She was doing her part, and it was making a difference. The enemy's plans were being foiled, one coded message at a time. The war was slowly but surely being won. The room was small, but the impact of Aurora's work was vast. She was a ghost in the machine, a silent guardian of the coded messages that flowed through the darkness. Her heart ached with every transmission, but it was a good kind of pain, the pain of knowing she was making a difference. The war finally ended, and the news spread like wildfire. Aurora felt a wave of relief wash over her, followed by a deep sense of satisfaction. She had done it, she had played her part in bringing peace to a world torn apart. As the city began to rebuild, Aurora knew it was time for her to start anew. She left the city, seeking a simpler life in a small town not far from Willow Creek. The rolling hills and green pastures soothed her soul, reminding her of the beauty that still existed in the world. She settled into a cozy little cottage on the outskirts of town, surrounded by trees that whispered in the wind. The artifact, now a cherished symbol of her past, was carefully stored in a beautiful music box. The box was made of intricately carved wood, adorned with patterns that seemed to dance in the light. When she wound it up, a soft, melancholic tune filled the air, transporting her back to a time when love and loss had defined her. Years passed, and Aurora became a pillar of the community. She worked with local children, teaching them about science, history, and the importance of kindness. Her experiences had given her a depth, a wisdom that she shared with others. She was no longer just a young woman with a secret, she was a guardian of memories, a weaver of tales, and a beacon of hope. The narrator, her granddaughter, would often sit at her feet, listening in wonder as Aurora recounted stories of her adventures. The old woman's eyes would light up, and her voice would take on a conspiratorial tone as she spoke of Elias and the artifact. The music box would sit on the mantel, a reminder of the journey that had brought her to this place. As the years turned into decades, Aurora's legend grew. She became known as a wise and compassionate woman, someone who had lived through the fire and emerged stronger, wiser, and more loving. Her diary, once a secret keeper, had become a testament to her strength and resilience. The narrator looked back on her childhood, and the countless hours she'd spent listening to Aurora's stories. She realized that the old woman's simple life had been built upon a foundation of extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. The diary had revealed the depth of her character, the complexity of her emotions, and the enduring power of her love. As the narrator closed the diary, she felt a sense of awe and reverence for the woman who had been her grandmother. Aurora's story was one of hope and challenge, marked by danger and sadness, but also by the resilience of the human spirit. The old woman's eyes had sparkled with a deep wisdom, a sense of peace that came from knowing she'd lived a life of purpose. The music box sat on the narrator's mantle, a reminder of the stories that had been shared, and the love that had been passed down through the generations. When she wound it up, the soft tune filled the air, transporting her back to a time when her grandmother's stories had first sparked her imagination. The melody was a bridge between past and present, a reminder of the enduring power of love and sacrifice. In the quiet moments, when the world outside seemed to fade away, the narrator would feel her grandmother's presence. She'd sense the gentle touch of Aurora's hand, the warmth of her smile, and the love that had been poured into every story, every lesson, and every whispered secret. The narrator smiled, knowing that she'd carry her grandmother's legacy forward, sharing the stories, the wisdom, and the love with her own children and grandchildren one day. The music box would sit in her own home, a symbol of the enduring power of love and sacrifice, a reminder of the extraordinary woman who had been her grandmother, Aurora. As I sit here, surrounded by the quiet of the afternoon, the diary lies open on my lap, its pages yellowed with age, yet radiating a warmth that feels almost palpable. The words within these worn covers have been my companions for weeks now, guiding me through the labyrinth of my grandmother Aurora's life, a journey that has left an indelible mark on my soul. In the beginning, I thought of this diary as merely a relic of the past, a collection of stories and secrets that, while intriguing, were ultimately confined to another era. But as I delved deeper, the lines between then and now began to blur. The more I read, the more I realized that this wasn't just a historical document, it was a map to Aurora's soul, a testament to the enduring power of love, sacrifice, and the human spirit. I recall the stories Aurora used to tell me as a child, tales of brave heroes and mystical creatures that seemed to dance on the edges of reality. At the time, I saw them as simple fairy tales, meant to entertain and perhaps impart some moral lesson. But now, I understand that those stories were so much more. They were metaphors for her own life, a heroic journey that she navigated with a silent strength that I can only begin to comprehend. Aurora's legacy, I've come to realize, isn't just about the artifact or the secrets she kept, it's about the wisdom she shared through her stories, the unconditional love she had extended to everyone she met, and the silent courage she embodied. Her life was a tapestry woven from threads of joy and sorrow, love and loss, each strand intertwined to create a masterpiece of resilience and beauty. As I reflect on her story, I see the parallels between her struggles and my own. The fears, the triumphs, the moments of sheer courage, they all resonate deeply within me. It's as if Aurora's experiences, though lived in a different time, have become a guiding light for my own journey, illuminating the path forward with a gentle yet unwavering radiance. There's a sense of peace that comes from understanding, from finally seeing the world through another's eyes. Holding this diary, now a treasured keepsake, I feel a deep connection to Aurora, a sense of continuity that transcends generations. It's a reminder that our stories, though unique to us, are part of a larger narrative, one that speaks to the universal human experience. In the stillness of this moment, surrounded by the echoes of the past, I find a profound understanding. Life, with all its complexities and contradictions, is a story we're all writing, one page at a time. Aurora's story, now a part of mine, teaches me that courage isn't the absence of fear but the will to act in the face of it. It reminds me that love, in its purest form, is a sacrifice, a choice to put the needs of others before our own. As I look back on Aurora's life, I'm struck by the realization that her true legacy isn't something to be found in artifacts or secrets but in the hearts of those she touched. Her story, now mine to carry forward, is a testament to the power of love and resilience, a beacon that guides me through life's challenges. In the end, it's not the grand gestures or the monumental achievements that define us but the small, quiet acts of courage and love. Aurora's diary, now a part of me, whispers these truths in the silence, reminding me that our stories, though individually unique, are collectively the fabric of humanity. With this diary as my guide, I feel a sense of responsibility, a calling to share the stories that lie within me, to pass on the lessons learned from Aurora's life. It's a reminder that we all have our own hidden stories, our own diaries waiting to be written or read, and that in sharing them, we bridge the gaps between generations, cultures, and hearts. The music of the past, the whispers of love and loss, the laughter and the tears, all these are now part of my own story, woven into the fabric of my being. And as I look to the future, I know that Aurora's legacy will live on, not just as a memory of the past but as a guiding light for the generations to come, a testament to the enduring power of love and the human spirit. In the quiet moments, when the world outside fades away, I feel Aurora's presence, a gentle nudge to keep moving forward, to keep telling the stories that need to be told. And I know that I will, carrying her legacy forward with every word, every breath, and every beat of my heart. For in the end, it's the stories we share, the love we give, and the courage we find that truly define us, leaving behind a legacy that transcends time and circumstance. The diary, now closed on my lap, feels heavier, yet lighter. Heavier with the weight of responsibility, lighter with the freedom of understanding. I look up, and for a moment, I see Aurora standing before me, a smile on her face, her eyes shining with a deep and abiding love. And in that moment, I know that I will carry her story, her legacy, and her love with me always, a guiding light on my own journey through the complexities and wonders of life. As we come to the end of Grandma Aurora's story, I'm reminded of the power of love, sacrifice, and the hidden legacies that shape our lives. Her journey, woven through the fabric of history, teaches us that even in the darkest of times, courage and resilience can lead to extraordinary acts of kindness and bravery. The lessons she learned, the secrets she kept, and the love she shared with those around her, all these and more are etched in the lines of her hidden diary. In the quiet moments, as I reflect on her story, I'm struck by the realization that the true essence of her legacy wasn't in the artifacts she left behind or the secrets she kept. It was in the love she showed, the lives she touched, and the courage she demonstrated in the face of overwhelming adversity. Her story, now shared with you, continues to live on, not just as a testament to her life but as a beacon, guiding us through our own challenges. If these stories have resonated with you, if you found a piece of yourself within the lines of Grandma Aurora's journey, then this story has fulfilled its purpose. It's a reminder that our individual tales are threads in the vast tapestry of human experience, interconnected and vital to the fabric of our collective story. As you close this chapter, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on the power of love and sacrifice in your own life. Think about the people who have inspired you, the challenges you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned along the way. These are the things that truly make life worth living. Now, as we conclude, I'd like to ask you to take a simple yet meaningful action. Please, leave your like on this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch the heart and inspire the soul. Share this story with someone you care about, it might just be the reminder they need to hold on to hope. And as you do, I encourage you to look around you, to see the love, the resilience, and the courage that exists in your own life and in the lives of those around you. As the music swells, and the final scenes of Grandma Aurora's journey unfold before your eyes, I want to leave you with a question, one that Grandma Aurora often pondered in her quiet moments. What secret do you think Grandma Aurora held dearest to her heart? Was it the device, the stories, or something far more profound? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going, let's keep the stories alive. In the end, it's not the years in our lives that count, but the life in our years. Grandma Aurora's story teaches us that our legacies are not defined by what we leave behind but by how we live, how we love, and how we face the challenges that come our way. As you carry her story with you, I encourage you to weave it into the fabric of your own, to let her courage inspire you, and her love guide you through the trials and triumphs of your own journey. And so, as we say goodbye to Grandma Aurora's story for now, I want to thank you for being part of this journey. Your presence here, your engagement, and your willingness to listen and share, it all means the world. Until next time, when another story will unfold, waiting to inspire and touch your heart, remember, the stories we tell, the love we share, and the legacies we leave behind are but reflections of the incredible potential that resides within each of us. In closing, let's hold on to the wisdom of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary, a testament to the enduring power of love, a reminder that in every moment, we have the choice to live, to love, and to leave behind a legacy that transcends time itself.